Hello everyone, I'm Jairai, and today I want to talk about this camera that I'm shooting on right now, the Sony ZV-1. I picked this camera up last year when I was on vacation. I know I mentioned that I like taking my Sony RX100 Mark V when I'm on vacation, but I couldn't pass up on an offer for this ZV-1. My first impression of this camera is actually pretty good. It doesn't have the same build quality as the RX100 series, but the plastic body doesn't really bother me, and I think the quality of the plastic is actually pretty good. I care more about the features than the build quality of this camera, so yeah, it isn't really that important to me. Now, the difference between this camera and the RX100 Mark V is not that big when it comes to physical appearance, but features wise, the difference is actually quite large. This camera has no recording limit, so I could shoot 4K videos much longer than my RX100 Mark V, and it doesn't overheat, which is a huge plus for this camera because all of the RX100 Mark Vs, they tend to overheat and only have a 5-minute record limit. I also like that they added a mic input jack with this camera, just in case I needed to add like an external mic to this. They also added a dead cat to this camera to block out the wind noise. I know that before people were gluing dead cats on top of the microphone holes just so that their audio wouldn't get ruined, but it's good that Sony decided to add a dead cat for the microphone capsule. The reason why I bought this camera is because I wanted a camera that didn't overheat and didn't have a 5-minute recording limit on 4K. So this camera checks all those boxes for me. Now, I know that Sony marketed this camera for vloggers, but I feel like a lot of vloggers who use this camera or have this camera don't utilize it to its full potential. I feel like the ones who've upgraded to this camera from their smartphone, they're not bothered to learn about lighting or any of the camera settings, so they just tend to shoot in intelligent auto mode and expect some great result. I think the true potential of this camera lies in post-processing. So right now I'm shooting in HLG2. This is what it looks like without any color correcting or color grading. Of course, it isn't as flat as S-Log2 or any of the log picture profiles, but it's pretty flat compared to a standard picture profile. Now, if I were to add color correcting and color grading, you get results like this. In terms of audio, I think the audio for this camera is good enough. I'm not really a fan of using onboard microphone, so I tend not to use it. But this is the audio coming straight from the camera without any post-processing. And here's the audio with post-processing. This is with compression, noise reduction, and with EQ. Just as long as you're really close to the camera itself, your audio should be fine. I just find that if you were to be a little bit further back, the audio will sound really thin. It wouldn't sound so good. Now, I wouldn't recommend this camera for everyone just because there's people out there who don't really want to work with their footage or, who want to stick with auto settings. And I think that you don't really utilize this camera to its full potential if you just use it in full auto. So I wouldn't recommend it for people who does that. But I do recommend this camera for people who want a smaller version of their bigger camera. This is what this tiny point and shoot really is just a smaller version of a bigger camera. I'm not really bashing on people who use auto mode. I do understand that there's a lot of situations where it's beneficial to use it, but if you just use that mode and expect like really good results, then you should probably look elsewhere. And I don't recommend this camera for people who want to shoot photos. There are better cameras out there for that purpose. You can get an older APS-C camera with better lens choices, but in terms of photos, this can shoot good enough photos, but it's not the best photo camera out there. This camera is only good for people who want to shoot videos on the go and aren't bothered lugging around huge video cameras. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. I hope that you guys have a good day, and thanks for watching.